my advice to you is take like overly dramatic time.
Yeah.
Remain like that kind of
Okay.
deal, you know.
Okay.
And then everybody sings.
Okay.
And it keeps going like that.
Okay. So you're gonna give me I'm gonna go after you finish that. I'm gonna walk up and you're gonna give me this chord.
Oh no, this hymn
Yeah.
is this.
Oh, it is that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a singing, responsive singing.
Okay. Okay. So let's
Yeah, so
forgiving and being forgiven. So who says that?
Sherman. So
Okay.
he's doing the meditation, he speaks, he hits the bell, there's like 30 seconds of silence while people meditate, and then he hits it again.
So
And
when
that's when
so after they finish, so what's the thing that I hear is the chord. Okay.
Well, no, you'll already be up there. Like as soon as you get up there is when I'm gonna hit the chord.
So when does he say this and then I go up before he rings the bell? After the bell.
So he's going to this meditation of pastoral prayer. He's gonna read the prayer, hit the bell, and then there's 30 seconds of silence, and then hits the bell again.
And that's when
It's the second bell.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think I got it. Okay.
Brilliant. Let me tell.
Good morning. Good morning. Morning? Good. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. My name is Carol Dunlap, and it's my honor to serve on your board of directors. For those of you who are new, those of you who have been around a while, members and friends, tuning in or sitting in, good morning. We're so grateful to be able to connect with you this morning. Since 1833, we have been a community of many faiths, many journeys, and many beliefs, committed to deliberately diverse and fully inclusiveness. You are welcome here. We are a community that is resilient and committed to healing, does the work that needs to be done, and commits to maintaining and establishing relationships. Let us continue to stand together on the side of love. For more information about First UU, you can tune into our website. You can also tune into our YouTube channel to view past services. And you can log in 5 to 10 minutes early if you're logging in to catch announcements. We also invite you each Sunday for coffee between services. Thank you for being with us today. May we be connected during a time of peace, healing, and inspiration. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am the Reverend Sherman Z. Logan, Jr., and I have the privilege and honor of serving this wonderful congregation as the senior minister. This morning, our service will be led by members of the Jewish Lives of Unitarian Universalists, and joining me on the chancel this morning are leaders of JLUU, Steve Salzberg and Joel Gottlieb. And we have back with us this morning our singers who will be sharing their musical gifts. So it's customary here at First UU that we invite our visitors to introduce themselves. So if you are visiting with us and as you are comfortable, please raise your hand and the minister of the mic, Jamie, will come to you. And when she arrives, please tell us who you are and where you're from. Are there any visitors this morning?
Hi, my name is Zachary Davis, and I'm born here in Richmond and coming here today from out in Glen Allen.
Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Margaret Brown. Live in Richmond now. Came from Northern Virginia, and before then from England or Germany.
Welcome.
Good morning. Hi. My name is Owen Parker. I live here in Richmond, but I was originally from Portland, Oregon.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Brooklyn. I'm from Smithfield, Pennsylvania, which is in the middle of nowhere, but I live in Richmond now.
Welcome. Over there, Jamie.
But wait, there's more.
Hi, my name is Tracy Hess. I am originally from Austin, Texas, but have been in Virginia for about the last 20 years. Now live in South Chesterfield, so thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning. Yeah, peer pressure works. Excellent. Stephanie Gomez. I am from Northern Virginia. Pleasure to be with you all.
Welcome. Okay. I think it's Jamie. All right. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. We are so glad that you're joining us for worship. And you are beloved and welcome here. So now please rise in body or in spirit and greet your neighbors and welcome our visitors. Today, we commission those who lead our congregation justice ministry program. Richmonders involved in strengthening our community, or RISC. This interfaith grassroots organization seeks to solve unjust critical community problems through recommending best practice solutions to local decision makers. RISC works to hold those decision makers accountable for implementing the solution to address the struggles of so many of our community of those who are marginalized. So will the team members that are present this morning please stand? Okay. We have Ted Merriman, Steve Salzberg, Denise Rhymes, and Dr. Hollihan and Alden Fair, who's also team leaders, and they could not be with us today. So now I commission Ted Merriman, Steve Salzberg, Denise Rhymes, and in their absence, Dr. Hollihan and Alden Fair, to bring us into this justice effort, to be conduits through which we can get involved and add power to RISC influence with our local decision makers. These team leaders will be holding house meetings on these dates that you'll see on the monitor in a couple of seconds there. No dates. Or you can talk to Steve afterwards. I'm sure he has a date. And these members are holding house meetings to hear stories about lack of affordable and healthy housing, as well as gun violence. So let us engage with these leaders to raise our awareness about these issues and our power to do something about them. We appreciate your efforts to make this community a more just place, and we're grateful for your service to the beloved community. Congratulations.
Picture in biblical times when the leadership needs to awaken and call together the entire population. So picture men and women and their children and all the animals spread out over a really large area. No phones at that point and no internet. So how do you let everyone know that you need to pay attention? The shofar is a ritual musical instrument first mentioned in the Bible when the Israelites gather at Mount Sinai after they escape from Egypt. In ancient times, they used it to announce the Sabbath and the new moon and to proclaim new leadership. In our time, it is blown on the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, unless it is the Sabbath, although some congregations do blow it. The shofar is sounded 100 times during the period of Rosh Hashanah, and we are not going to do that. There are 4 specific sounds that are made with the shofar, and one person announces each sound with a Hebrew word. The Hebrew words don't have specific meanings, but they do have meanings to Russ Jennings here, who is going to blow the shofar. I'll call out the sound, and he'll respond to it. And in this service, we're going to do 2 sets of sounds. Like I said, not the whole list of them. But the first set will have 2 distinct sounds, and then the second set will have 3, and the 4th unique sound that you'll hear, you'll understand why we're going to do it last. All set? Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gadolah.
Let Us Be Awestruck by Kristen Groschel-Schmidt. The Jewish New Year commemorates the creation of the world, the bringing forth of order where once there was only chaos, the birth of the building blocks of life. As Jews within and beyond these walls begin to celebrate Rosh Hashanah on Friday evening, let us all celebrate, let us marvel, let us be awestruck. For the same force that brought forth our planet into being, the same force that evolved tiny atoms and molecules and DNA into intelligent life, the same power that transformed summer into autumn and autumn into winter. That same power is still at work in the universe and in us, always bringing about new seasons, new creations, new possibilities. Breath of life, breathe in us, with us, and through us this day as we gather, one in community, one in commitment to truth, love, and justice. Open our minds and hearts to the new that's always being created. Come, my friends, let us celebrate, let us marvel, let us be filled with awe. Come, let us worship together.
Toward Repair of Relationship by Joanna Lubkin. We light this chalice in honor of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Jewish days of awe. May its flame call us to search our souls, sifting through the past year to see where we may have missed the mark. May its light guide us toward the courageous and open-hearted apology, toward repair of relationships in our lives. May its heat warm our hearts to offer forgiveness to those who have wronged us, allowing us to release the chains of grudge and blame that have bound us to them. And may its strength help us take the actions that are within our power to make this next year more just, more loving, and more peaceful for our communities and for all of humanity.
Please rise in body or in spirit, and let us sing our opening hymn, 216, Hashavenu.
Number 216. And just to get some of the words in your mind, it's just copy after me real quick. Hashivenu, Hashivenu. Go ahead and do that. Hashivenu, Hashivenu. Yep, and the next lick. Adonai Eleika. Now, I can't sing this high, and I'm going to do it anyway, which means even if you can't sing this high, you're going to do it anyway. Ve'na shuva, ve'na shuva, ve'na shuva. You do it. Let's do this whole last one. Kadesh, Kadesh, Yameinu kekedem. Try that last line. Kadesh,
Good morning. I'm Dee DeRoche, a member of the Share the Plate Committee, and I'm subbing for Louise Warner, who couldn't be here. Many years ago, as part of our mission to care for our community around us, we decided to share the plate in support of community organization, a UU group, another religiously affiliated group, or a secular organization. As a result, we have our own disaster relief fund supported by members of this congregation to provide immediate relief for natural and man-made disasters. In fact, our Share the Plate committee has recently sent $1,500 to Maui Strong Fund, a relief organization providing financial resources to support the immediate and long-term recovery needs for the people and places affected by the devastating Maui wildfires. Given the rate we see destruction from fires, hurricanes, drought, and other forces of nature and humans, it's important to shore up our funds to be able to answer the call quickly when disaster happens. Your gifts during September will enable us to respond and continue to make a difference in communities in peril. We encourage you to give generously. Proceeds this month are going to First UU's Disaster Relief Fund, and we are grateful for your response. Thanks.
The ushers now passing the plate. Offering now be taken and most graciously received. As we enter into this period of prayer, meditation, and reflection, hear the words by Victoria Stafford at 1. Imagine this. On the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, every fall, every year, the people make their peace with anyone they have wronged or slighted or injured or in any way neglected in the past 12 months. The task is not to patch things up, smooth things over, reach a compromise, or sweep mistakes and uneasy memories under the rug. The task is not to feel better. The task is ownership. The goal is truth. For its redemptive sake, I did this. I said this to you, and it was wrong. I neglected this. I botched this. I betrayed you thusly. I demeaned you, whether you ever knew it or not. This is the truth in which both of us are living. I ask you to forgive me. Imagine how many deep breaths you would need to take. Imagine how many doors you have to knock on, how many phone calls you have to make, how many letters How many lunches and coffee? How many awkward moments with your children, your parents, and with strangers, that cashier to whom you spoke so sharply? Awkward is irrelevant. The task is not about comfort, it is about truth, about wholeness and holiness, restoration. Imagine this. Someone has been preparing all year to speak with you, to write to you, to ask you a hard question. Perhaps in some ways not too conscious, you have even known this, and you have been preparing to. Finally, you answer the door or the phone or open the letter with shaky hands, and there it is, what you thought you've been longing for, but really have dreaded. Someone is asking your forgiveness. The task is not about comfort, it is about truth. Awkward is irrelevant. You get to choose now. You have to choose whether and how you participate in restoration. Abandon the pleasant piety that claims knee-jerk forgiveness as unquestionable moral course. You get to choose which way would be right in this case, between you and the person with all your guards. What response would make the world more whole? Imagine something yearn in us to come round right, something creaky, rusty, heavy, almost calcified within us, tries, in spite of us and all of our fears and self-deception, to turn and creak and turn again and come round a little truer. Something in us stretches towards conversion. Imagine healing, wholly from within. Now let us take a few moments to imagine forgiving and being forgiven in silence.
Good morning, everybody. We're about to do our meditation hymn. It's in your blue book. It's number 1037.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves, selves, and each other. For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, for each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others, we forgive ourselves for the selfishness which sets us apart and alone. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit. Gives ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity. Give ourselves and each other. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
During this time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Jews are asked to try to make peace with anyone they have wronged, slighted, or injured. Reverend Sherman has spoken about that, and Joe Gottlieb will talk more about that in a moment. During this time, Jews are also asked to make peace with God for any transitions you made against the deity. Notice I'm not giving God a gender. So what does that look like from a UU perspective? Let's take a look at the UU principles and what it means to violate those principles and what we might do to resolve that violation. Let me further take a UU perspective and talk about violations against society as a whole. Those of you who know me are not surprised that I'm talking about social justice. Let me postulate that injustice is a transgression against God. Whether you believe in God or not, I think we all know what that means. So let's look at the UU principles, examples of dealing with justice violations, injustices. Principles 1, 2, and 3 are about our relationships with each other. Principle 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. What can I do to violate these principles? You're so different. I don't know where you live as even being safe. I don't even know how to start a conversation with you. Principles 4 and 5 call upon us to look at the larger truth, the larger process. Fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. What can I do to violate these principles? Yada, yada, yada. Whatever I do, even my vote won't make a difference. So why even bother? Principles 6 and 7 address the world and our connection to it. Sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. What can I do to violate these principles? You know, I've got my own problems. You know, I mean, you got yours, but I don't need yours, so your problems aren't my problems. Eighth principle, working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions. What can I do to violate this principle? Hey man, I love your work, I support what you do, but I can't, I won't get involved. So all of our principles talk to ways that we are required to act. Not watch and not be indifferent to the plight of others. So how do we resolve these violations of our principles? I'm sure you've already figured this out. Get engaged. Engage with others that are not like you. Engage with those organizations or groups that address inequality. Actively decide that your daily life does make a difference in this diverse, interdependent web of all of our lives. Yesterday, I attended a Rosh Hashanah service yesterday at our daughter's synagogue in Falls Church. One of the readings was this: "Let the pursuit of justice and peace be our highest good, and may all people make peace their responsibility. Let the Torah be a light and guide that guides our lives toward empathy and understanding, towards a generosity of heart." The good news is that whether you're Jewish or Unitarian or like me, a Junitarian, our congregation is a great place to get engaged, to make justice our highest good. Every week we get a social justice newsletter that provides updates to what is happening and what you can do to get engaged and do justice. A quick look at our website shows a major tab labeled Act for Justice. And listed there are 9 opportunities to do justice, and Share the Plate, which we just did, is another way that our congregation does justice. And perhaps most importantly, throughout the year, love your neighbor, your neighborhood, your community, your city, your state, country, and the world. Oh, and perhaps talk to one of the risk team leaders that have been commissioned today. Thank you.
For Jews, the high holidays bring an obligation to assess one's relationship with God and with other people, as we've been learning. And it's understood that we have done wrongs, no question about that. We're taught that our wrongs against God are forgiven on Yom Kippur, but the wrongs against others have to be worked out, preferably in tandem with those who are involved. So we seek forgiveness from them, but it's also on us to forgive. And Steve just talked about the wrongs against God with his great connection to social action. I'm going to focus on the wrongs against others. What has happened during the past year that I need to examine and deal with? I looked back and I thought about my friendships and relationships, and really it was a pretty good year. Carrie and I met many people here at First UU, and unless I'm reading the room the wrong way, the relationships have been pretty good. So I needed to look at my behavior, which might not be seen by others, but affects the relationships nonetheless. And then I remembered in the prayer liturgy that is used on the high holidays, we work through these long lists of behaviors, and we admit that we've done all of them. And the lists are quite juicy. We've been abusive, blasphemous, covetous, deceitful, envious. There's one acrostic prayer that has one for each letter of the alphabet. The X I'll leave to you to guess. But over the last 30 years, there's 2 or 3 which for me come up every year. And this past year, kind of lost the battle with one of them, which is resentment and its close relative, envy. And I wanted to give you a couple examples. I bicycle almost every morning in Bryan Park, and there's one group of walkers who just will not leash their pack of large dogs. Sometimes the dogs run in front of my bike, and I need to stop until the dog goes back to its owner. And it's annoying, and it's actually kind of dangerous, especially for the dog. But on a grand scale, it's not that big of a deal, but it makes me really mad. And I actually kind of envy the dog owners a little bit. And what is that about? My second example comes from my daily life of phones and computers. I'm on a lot of email lists, and suppose an event is announced, a whole bunch of people will not hesitate to reply all and explain why they're too busy to come to it. And so your inbox fills up really fast. And this is annoying, but seriously, these are just emails. So why do I get so mad about that? And a third is that I just started tutoring in a high school, and some of the kids just cannot stop talking. And they distract the other students who really need help. And the teachers do what they can. They take the phones away. They move the students so they're never sitting near the same people, but forget it. It's not going to stop that. And it's pretty annoying. And what do you do about things like this that are quite actually difficult to deal with? I discovered a long time ago that I felt that people were getting away with something when they did stuff like that. And I try not to do it, but the world doesn't praise us for behaving well. And so I learned over a long period of time that I have to support myself and praise myself for not doing those things. When I lose sight of my own value, I notice other people's behavior a lot more. And I've been doing that a lot this year. When I make sure to reassure myself that I'm doing the best that I can, I relax and let the annoying things stand on their own. Can't be fixed, but can't do anything about it. For example, at the school, some of those talkative students actually do start trying after a while. They realize they're not going to learn anything unless they work a little bit. And when they do, I want to be right there to help them, which is already happening. So for me, for this year, for this topic, I'm trying to use the high holidays to think about things that perhaps I can let go of a little bit instead of spending so much time on resentment. Because if the resentment calms down, then I'll have more room for new things. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce the next piece entitled Sweet Radiant Mystery. So my mother had that thing, synesthesia. You know what that is? It's where you see colors in music. And I was always super, super jealous of that. Like, she would drag me to, like, orchestras, and I'd be sitting there closing my eyes like, it's black. But this piece, it's a tone color, it's a musical tone color prayer. And I think, at least for me, who physically can't do the synesthesia thing, it gets as close as possible to me for that seeing of tonal colors. So this is a prayer to the sweet, radiant mystery of forgiveness.
June 17th, 2015 was a day that will forever be etched in my memory. It was my wife Franca's 60th birthday, and we're celebrating it on a beautiful island of Mallorca off the coast of Spain. We had just returned to our hotel room after the delightful birthday dinner when I turned on the television and saw the CNN breaking news banner reporting 9 people dead at a Charleston, South Carolina church. I turned to Franca and yelled, "Oh, no." What had happened? As I watched the news report in horror, I learned that a young white man, Dylan Roof, who was welcome to join a Bible study at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, and as the folks were discussing the lesson of the day, Roof gunned down 9 people. Just a few minutes earlier, these people welcomed him into that Bible study with open arms. 48 hours later, after having lost their mothers, sisters, sons, husbands, and wives, the victim's family members appeared at Ruth's bond hearing, where they had an opportunity to confront the killer. And to the astonishment of many in this country, including myself, most of them forgave him for his hideous actions. A daughter of one of the victims, Esther Lance, said to Ruth, "I would never be able to hold her again, but I forgive you and have mercy on your soul," she said. "It hurts me. It hurts a lot of people, but God forgives you, and I forgive you." A sister of another victim, the Reverend D. Payne Middleton doctor, said to Ruth, "We have no room for hate. We have to forgive. I pray to God on your soul, and I also thank God you won't be around when your judgment day comes." Tawanza Sanders, who died as he reportedly tried to shield others from the hail of bullets, mother addressed his accused killer. "We welcome you Wednesday night into our Bible study with open arms," she said. "You have killed some of the most beautiful people that I know. Tawanza Sanders was my son, but Tawanza was also my hero. But as we said in Bible study, we enjoyed you, but may God have mercy on you." So as I heard those people who have suffered unfathomable loss of loved ones forgive this depraved white supremacist who destroyed the lives of their family, I couldn't have fathomed how could I forgive anyone who has killed a member of my family. And I most certainly would have had anger and resentment and probably would have sought vengeance. It's natural to experience feelings of anger, bitterness, and hatred as humans. However, holding on into those emotions can be self-destructive, as they can weigh us down and prevent us from moving forward. The families of Dylan Roof victims would have been justified in feeling anger and hatred towards them. But these families showed the world in their pain and suffering and unimaginable grief that in the midst of their tragedy, there is a beacon of life, and that light put the spotlight on the power of forgiveness. John O'Donohue, the Irish Catholic priest, tells us forgiveness is difficult because it can feel counterintuitive to voluntarily release the anger or resentment we hold when we have been hurt. We really want to forget the hurt. We want to hold the hurter in a place of bitterness. And we know what it is to be hurt so profoundly that we refuse to forgive or forget. But according to Donahue, we can attain that sweet grace when we can truly step out of our prison of pain and engage in deep forgiveness. And then we can see the other person as a fellow human being. We can open our hearts to the one who has hurt us and perhaps understand, not condone, or erase, or make acceptable but understand the underlying condition, circumstances, or weakness that made the other person act as they did. And if we can go there, where the broken and flawed humanity is, we can forgive and feel the chain holding us. It is holy grace, the sweet grace that comes over us in that moment, and we are free. So now, my beloveds, forgiveness is a term that is frequently used in our society, but its true significance can be difficult to comprehend. How can we comprehend forgiving a man like Dylan Roof, who has so much hatred and bile in his heart that he murdered in cold blood 9 people who were gathered at their weekly Bible study to practice their faith? The family affected by this tragedy demonstrated immense grace and forgiveness in finding in their hearts to forgive Dylan Roof. They recognized him as a flawed human being and chose to let go of their fear and bitterness. And while forgiveness did not erase their pain, they didn't condone his action and wanted him to be held accountable for his crime. But by forgiving Dylan Roof, they were able to break free from the emotional chains that were holding them. So forgiveness is not just an act, it is a complex and deeply spiritual process. It involves letting go of anger and resentment and the desire for revenge. And when we choose to forgive, we make the choice to relieve the burden of past hurt, not because they didn't matter, but because we choose to heal and move forward. But moving forward can be tough for some, and forgiveness can be a challenging task, especially when we encounter the negative aspects of our society, the so-called sins of the community, such as violence, injustice, income disparity, oppression, discrimination, corruption, and the list go on and on and on. These societal ills can make us feel angry, hurt, betrayed, or hopeless, and may even tempt us to lash out, retaliate, or withdraw from the world. Despite this, it is important to understand that holding on to grudges and grievances is not a justified or productive response. Instead, it is crucial to find ways to forgive and let go of the negative emotion, even in the face of difficult circumstances. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, condoning, or excusing the wrongdoing. It does not imply reconciliation with the offender or absolving them of accountability. It also does not suggest denying or minimizing the pain that was caused. But when we forgive, we make a conscious decision to recognize the humanity of the offender, acknowledging their self-worth and dignity, which is no different from our own. It means accepting the complexity and ambiguity of human nature and the potential for change and redemption. And by choosing to forgive, we unburden ourselves from the weight of hatred and desire for revenge, thereby opening ourselves to the possibility of healing and peace. So, beloved, how can we forgive the sins of the community that has caused so much harm and suffering to ourselves and others, especially when those who commit them show no remorse or repentance? Well, I wish there were simple answers to these questions, but in preparing for this sermon, I discovered these steps that we can take to move forward together in forgiveness. At the start, to truly seek forgiveness, we must acknowledge the importance of accountability. This means we must take a responsibility for our own communal sins and committing to change. It is not enough to ask forgiveness without demonstrating a sincere desire to rectify our actions and prevent similar sins in the future. We must also take responsibility for our actions that contribute to societal problems. In addition to holding offenders accountable, it is important that we educate ourselves on the context of the underlying causes of the harm that was done. This includes understanding the offender history and action, as well as recognizing the systemic and structural factors that contribute to societal problems. And only through education and awareness can we hope to create a safer and more just society. It is also important to practice empathy towards the offender. Recognizing their humanity and complexity is crucial for holding them accountable for their action. It is essential to remember that they too have been influenced by their life experiences and circumstances. And we must also take action to achieve justice in the community. This would involve advocating for others and ourselves who have been affected by the negative aspects of society, and we must work towards changing the policies and perpetuate the sins of the community. And finally, it is of utmost importance that we cultivate compassion towards ourselves and others. Compassion allows us to forgive ourselves and others for any mistakes or regrets that may have occurred. Moreover, it's important to practice kindness and generosity towards those who are suffering or struggling in any ways. Now, these steps that I've just listed are not linear or sequential, but rather cyclical and ongoing. They may take days, weeks, months, or years to complete. They may require multiple attempts and revision. They may not lead to complete or perfect forgiveness, but rather to a partial or imperfect one. But they can help us move in the direction of forgiveness, and that is what matters. And beloveds, forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It is not a gift to the offender, but to ourselves. And when we forgive, we're not surrendering, but we are liberated, and we become transformed. In turn, we transform others and the world around us. Forgiveness is a way of living our Unitarian Universalist faith by honoring our principles and our value, and there's healing power in forgiveness. It has the power to mend broken relationship, restore trust, and bring inner peace. So may we have the courage and grace to practice forgiveness in our lives. May we have the wisdom and patience to forgive the sins of the community. And may we have hope and joy to celebrate the power of forgiveness. May this be so.
Thank you, Reverend Sherman. This reading is by Vanessa Southern. We extinguish our chalice, symbol of our faith, for truth sought through a questioning heart and an attentive mind, and for love pursued through obstacles inside and outside our own human heart, and for forgiveness and all it entails, the place where truth and love meet and merge.
Oh, let me get my glasses here. Hello, dear friends. I'm Rachel Lawrence, and I'm here to tell you why we are pledging to be a 100% voting congregation. Now, some may not realize that Virginia holds an election every year, and this year will be the first year with newly drawn districts in an off-year election. Every House and Senate seat in Virginia Assembly is up for grabs this year, and there are many competitive races down ballot. Ask me about the Henrico County School Board. When you see your ballot, you may notice you are no longer represented by the person you once had. They may be in another district or retiring because they are now competing against another incumbent. We have the opportunity to create a General Assembly that reflects our values. We typically have low voter turnout in off-year elections. Folks may assume that the districts are so one-sided that their vote won't make a difference. Well, I'm here to tell you that districts are now more balanced and every vote counts. Please come to our table in the President's Hall after the service to sign our banner. We'll have a table set up until the election day if you don't get a chance to see us today. After the election, I would love for you to put your I voted sticker where you signed your name to show that we have fulfilled our pledge. And I understand June Bohr might be the first, but she's planning on going to vote early, so we might have a friendly competition going on there. At the table, I can give you some literature about deadlines and how you can check out your ballot and who's your candidate and where your polling location is. I encourage you to get involved with a Get Out the Vote phone bank here today at 2 o'clock. We'll also be writing postcards to get out the vote next month on Sunday, October 15th. Lastly, I want you to make a plan to vote with a friend. Just like exercise, we all have good intentions, but if we plan to vote with a friend, we're more likely to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And take your friends to the polls. Early voting, September 22nd. And please rise in body or in spirit as I give the benediction. May we find peace through the paths of openness and honesty with one another, using confession and forgiveness as tools towards justice and healing. Now let us sing our closing hymn 323 in the great hymnal, Break Not the Circle.